Welcome to Decode Station. I'm Sarah. For more than 600 years, one book has defeated historians, cryptographers, linguists, and even modern artificial intelligence. A book filled with words nobody can read, plants that don't exist, and illustrations that still make no sense. Today, we're exploring the mystery of the Voynich Manuscript.
Right. And our mission in this deep dive is to basically investigate this massive stack of sources regarding history's greatest unsolved puzzle.
Yeah.
We're going to extract the hard facts from, centuries of wild speculation, looking at the scientific, the cryptographic, and linguistic evidence to help you understand what we actually know.
And what we definitely still don't know.
Exactly. We want you right here in the room with us as the third investigator, evaluating the data alongside us.
Okay, let's unpack this because every good investigation has to start at the moment of discovery, right?
Right.
So the historical record shows the manuscript was purchased in 1912 by this rare book dealer, Wilfred Voynich.
Yeah, he's the one who gave the artifact its modern name.
But the physical object itself is drastically older than that.
Oh, absolutely. Voynich simply, brought it to the attention of the modern academic world. It wasn't until researchers finally got the ability to analyze the actual physical material, like the animal skin parchment the book is written on, that things got really interesting.
Right, the radiocarbon dating.
Yes. They tested the vellum, and the results proved it was created somewhere between the years 1404 and 1438.
See, I was trying to visualize that timeline, and it's honestly wild. It is like going to a modern estate sale, rummaging through a box of old paperbacks, and finding a perfectly preserved, locked Renaissance hard drive.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. You have this massive 500-year gap between the physical creation of the parchment in the early 15th century and its sudden rediscovery in 1912.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that radiocarbon testing fundamentally shifted the academic consensus.
Because people thought it was a fake.
Exactly. Before the carbon-14 data came back, many historians just assumed the manuscript was a modern fabrication. But, to understand why the dating is so definitive, we have to look at the mechanism of vellum.
Which is animal skin.
Right. It's made from animal skin, and when that animal dies, it stops absorbing carbon-14. So by measuring the radioactive decay of that isotope, scientists can pinpoint the animal's death to that very specific early 15th century window.
It definitively anchors the physical mystery right in the medieval era.
Yes, it does.
But, the physical book is an authentic 600-year-old artifact, sure. Yet verifying the age of the parchment doesn't actually solve the core problem.
No, it really doesn't.
The ink on the page is a massive hurdle. We know when the animal died, but because iron gall ink lacks those same organic markers as the skin, dating the actual writing without completely destroying the fragile pages is just a near impossible scientific challenge.
Yeah, and that limitation really forces researchers to evaluate the text itself. And the manuscript is written in a system that, well, it just doesn't appear on any other artifact in human history.
None.
Zero. We aren't dealing with, a rare dialect or some localized medieval shorthand. It is a script isolated entirely to these 240 pages.
Okay, but I need to push back on the nature of that text for a second, because the sources indicate this isn't just a series of random scribbles.
Yeah, no.
The characters form a consistent alphabet, and the words follow patterns that are, quite frankly, striking enough to mimic natural human languages. So how can an alphabet operate with the structural rules of a real language, yet remain utterly unreadable to every linguistic expert on Earth?
I know.
It feels like a mathematical contradiction.
It is a profound contradiction. And the reason linguists are so captivated by this is because the text obeys Zipf's law.
Zipf's law, right.
Yeah. So in any natural language, the most frequently used word appears roughly twice as often as the second most frequent word, and 3 times as often as the third, and so on. It forms this very specific, predictable mathematical curve.
And the manuscript does that.
Beautifully.
Yeah.
When you run statistical analysis on the Voynich text, it maps perfectly onto that exact distribution curve. The word lengths, the prefix and suffix patterns, even the character entropy-like, the predictability of one character following another, they all behave with the mathematical signature of a fully functional human language.
But wait, George Zipf didn't formalize that linguistic law until, what, the 1930s?
Exactly, the 1930s.
So a 15th century author couldn't have possibly known about complex statistical distribution curves just to fake them.
And that is the crux of the linguistic debate right there. The underlying architecture of language is demonstrably present, yet it yields zero semantic meaning.
It's like a structural ghost.
A structural ghost, yes.
Yeah.
You can observe the scaffolding of the grammar, the syntax, the repeating motifs, but the individual letters map to literally nothing in our historical record.
Which is so frustrating. And because the text operates like a linguistic black hole, researchers were pretty much forced to reverse engineer meaning from the only visual evidence left on the page.
The drawings.
Yes, and here's where it gets really interesting. Because the writing is accompanied by hundreds of these vivid, hand-drawn ink illustrations, and they're just as baffling as the script.
The visual data is incredibly dense.
Yeah.
Almost every single page features these intricate drawings, completely intertwined with the unreadable text.
Yeah.
But analyzing these images, honestly, it only deepens the disorientation.
Oh, for sure. Let me describe the botanical section for you. Because botanists have scrutinized these drawings for decades, we are looking at plants that do not match any known species on Earth.
None.
And I don't mean they are just slightly stylized or poorly drawn. They look like Frankenstein creations.
They really do.
You will see, like, the roots of one plant grafted onto the stem of another with leaves that belong to a completely different biological family. It is as if the author traveled to an alien ecosystem, documented the flora, and just brought the sketches back.
And what's fascinating here is what the layout of these illustrations implies about the book's overall purpose.
Yeah.
Because beyond the chimeric plants, the manuscript features complex astronomical diagrams.
Yeah, stars and moons.
Right, and elaborate zodiac symbols, and most notoriously, the biological or balneological section.
The green pools.
Yes, there are entire pages dedicated to these small, nude female figures wading through vibrant green liquids.
It's so strange.
Very. And they're interconnected by these elaborate networks of tubes and capsules that resemble organic plumbing or maybe rudimentary circulatory systems.
Wow.
And when you analyze the structural formatting, the botanical reference pages followed by astrological charts and biological diagrams, it visually replicates the exact format of a medieval encyclopedia or a pharmacopoeia.
Basically a scientific reference guide.
But a reference guide detailing a reality that just doesn't exist. The visual evidence presents a total paradox. It is an instructional manual for an impossible world.
And naturally, driven by the assumption that this encyclopedia must hold actual information, some of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century attempted to crack it.
Oh, absolutely.
But the manuscript has challenged and defeated the greatest code breakers in history. We are talking about legendary cryptographers like William and Elizabeth Friedman.
Right, the pioneers.
People who routinely cracked complex military ciphers during the World Wars, but they couldn't decipher a single sentence of this book.
Yeah, the Friedmans approached the manuscript assuming it was an intricate polyalphabetic substitution cipher.
Which is what, exactly?
It's a method where the cipher alphabet changes continuously to hide the true frequency of the letters. It was a pretty common technique for hiding sensitive information during the Renaissance.
But the statistical tools they used to break those substitution ciphers just hit a brick wall.
A complete brick wall.
From what the sources detail, the Voynich text lacks the required cryptographic markers. Because if you encrypt a text using a 15th century cipher, you inadvertently create a high entropy output.
Right.
The letters look scrambled and chaotic. But as we discussed with Zipf's law earlier, the Voynich text has incredibly low entropy.
Very low.
The words are highly structured. They even repeat identically in clusters. Sometimes you'll see the exact same word written 3 or 4 times in a row.
And no known encryption method from that era produces that kind of pattern, period.
Which is mind-blowing.
It is. And the failure of frequency analysis in all these code-breaking algorithms, it essentially split the academic community into starkly opposing camps.
Right.
One faction maintains the book is hiding a known language behind an unimaginably sophisticated cipher that we just simply haven't categorized yet.
And the other side.
The opposing faction argues it isn't a code at all, but rather a raw, forgotten language that died out, leaving this manuscript as its only surviving artifact.
And this total vacuum of verified facts has just bred intense, sometimes obsessive speculation. I mean, several major theories have emerged to fill the void, attempting to answer not just what the book is, but why it was even created in the first place.
Yeah, we can basically categorize the 5 most prominent hypotheses here.
Yeah.
First, as mentioned, the forgotten language theory. Perhaps it's a phonetic transcription of a lost oral dialect.
Okay.
Second, the advanced cipher theory, proposing it hides something like Latin or early Italian. Third, the alchemical manuscript theory.
Right.
Fourth, the esoteric medical guide theory. And fifth, the elaborate hoax.
Okay, I want to aggressively challenge the hoax theory right now, even though I know it remains incredibly popular online.
Go for it.
The argument goes that a medieval scam artist created the book to swindle a wealthy royal, specifically Emperor Rudolph II, who we know did eventually purchase it for a massive sum of gold.
He did, yes.
But let's look at the economics and the sheer labor involved in that.
The material costs alone are staggering.
Exactly. We are talking about 240 pages of high-quality vellum. In the early 15th century, that required an entire herd of calves to produce.
It was luxury material.
You do not spend a absolute fortune on premium animal skin just to scribble meaningless gibberish. Furthermore, why would a forger invent a structurally consistent alphabet that mathematically mimics natural language?
It wouldn't even know how.
Right. If you want to scam a Renaissance duke with a fake magical tome, you draw some terrifying demons, you write some pseudo-Latin backwards, and you collect your gold. Painstakingly painting hundreds of non-existent plants and maintaining a flawless statistical language distribution over hundreds of pages, it seems wildly counterintuitive to a simple prank.
I agree. The risk-to-reward ratio for a forger certainly doesn't align with the effort. That massive cognitive load just maintaining the consistency of a fake language without slipping up across 240 pages. It strongly points away from a meaningless hoax.
Which leaves us with the alchemical and medical theories.
Right. And you have to remember, the church routinely persecuted alchemists for heresy back then.
Oh.
So if you had discovered a radical new medical treatment, or, you were experimenting with banned chemical compounds, encoding your findings in a custom script makes a lot of historical sense.
It totally provides the motive for the secrecy. You hide your formulas from rival alchemists and, more importantly, the Inquisition.
Exactly. The mechanism of secrecy aligns perfectly with the era. Yet, despite having a logical motive, human analysts still can't break the encryption. And that failure has pushed modern researchers toward the ultimate tool.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
Because if the human mind is incapable of finding the pattern, we naturally assume a supercomputer can do it. I mean, we live in an era where large language models process vast amounts of data in milliseconds.
Yep.
We are mapping the human genome and writing complex code with AI, yet state-of-the-art algorithms are completely blind when looking at this 600-year-old artifact.
Completely.
Why can't a modern AI just, guess the structure based on the linguistic scaffolding we know is already there?
Well, to grasp why AI fails here, you have to look at the mechanics of machine learning itself. Modern large language models operate on what we call semantic vector spaces.
Okay.
They don't actually read in the human sense. They calculate the probabilistic distance between tokens based on colossal data sets of known human languages. AI absolutely relies on a comparative anchor to work.
Like the Rosetta Stone.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The Rosetta Stone provided the exact same text in a known language, Greek, and an unknown one Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Right.
It gave us a bridge.
Uh-huh.
But the Voynich Manuscript has no bridge. It is an out-of-distribution anomaly.
Wow.
So when you feed the Voynich text into an AI, the system maps the tokens, it recognizes the Zipfian distribution, sure, but it finds 0 coordinates in its training data to assign any actual meaning.
It's just entirely isolated.
It is a floating island of data. The algorithm just spins its wheels, generating mathematical noise because it cannot anchor the unknown script to any known concept in human history.
So the most advanced technology ever created by humanity hits the exact same brick wall as the 15th century scholars.
Yep. So what does this all mean? Why should we care about an unreadable book?
What?
Today, the manuscript is locked away at Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library. And it just continues to inspire global research and debate.
It really does.
In a modern society where we are so accustomed to instantly pulling the answer to literally any question from our pockets, this artifact just refuses to yield.
And this raises an important question regarding our whole relationship with information. If the manuscript is an elaborate hoax, it stands as a monument to human gullibility and just an unparalleled dedication to a fabrication.
Sure.
But if the statistical complexity proves it holds genuine information, its enduring silence is profoundly humbling. It is a physical manifestation of the limits of our knowledge.
We have mapped the stars and the ocean floor, but we cannot read a small book written by a fellow human being.
Right. It forces us to confront the reality that there are frontiers of history locked in ink and parchment that our current methodologies, both human and artificial just, cannot conquer. That is a staggering thought to consider. If an entire language, an intricate botanical ecosystem, and an unknown scientific framework could be captured in this single book and lost entirely to time, What other forgotten worlds are hidden in plain sight, waiting to be rediscovered? What if the world's greatest mystery has been sitting on a library shelf for centuries? Stay curious, stay skeptical,